So you were working in Aakash. What was your aha moment
that we have bombed some of the airports of our friends.
right?
Operation Sindoor.
I love the way you said our friends. So I would say this is the topmost reason why world turned towards India whenever there is some disturbance across the world.
Obviously, yes.
Do you wait for the war to happen?
The respect on the R&D comes only when such an occasion comes. We are able to stand up.
Which is the deadliest missile we have got?
Strategic if you take, range if you take, Agni. But if you take tactical.
But what is Pakistan for you?
It's another friend, sometimes irritating.
How many missiles will it take to finish Pakistan?
One missile.
One missile. What is UN for you?
Presently it has completely lost its value, I should say.
Is China a threat for us?
No mighty nation will be mighty forever. Allow them to take their turn, and I'm sure we will be having our turn.
You're the man who brought AWACS into the system. What is Netra and how did you use Netra?
The first success for our own AWACS or AWNC was in 2019. Balakot, where we could hit an F-16 with whatever the aircraft we have, only because we were radio silent. Our aircraft was not radiating, not transmitting, but we at the back, AWACS at the back, and guided him, please do this, please do that. And exactly he followed, and that's how Abhinandan could do what he could do.
So you worked in AWACS, you worked with missiles, but how good are you with chopsticks?
Very poor.
Hello and welcome to yet another episode of the Tuhin Show, Icons of Bengaluru. This is presented by thestyle.world. Well, in today's day and age, every country is spending tons of money to get their defense in place, filling up their arsenals with missiles, tanks, fighter jets, guns, warships, radars, whatnot. India is right in front of this race, and we have the sharpest minds who are working day in and day out to be prepared indigenously. And for that, we have DRDO in Namma, Bengaluru. It's a rare occasion and a privilege to meet someone who was the chairman of Defense Research and Development Organization and Secretary, Department of Defense R&D. The man behind Airborne Early Warning and Control System, which is also called AWACS, Director, Center for Airborne System, also curated maritime patrol radars for the Indian Navy, made the AWACS one of the flagship projects of DRDO and becoming the fourth nation in the world to do so. The tech mind behind catching any enemy hovering over us. The man who took differentiation and integration seriously. Professor at IIT Madras, our very own defense scientist, Dr. S. Christopher, an icon of Bengaluru. Welcome to the show, sir.
Thank you. Nice to be with you.
How are you doing, sir?
Extremely fine.
So you have such a sharpest mind. Do you eat something else in breakfast or what we normally
Normal.
eat? Normal food only? So which gunpowder excites you? The podi powder or the real gunpowder?
Both the powders excite me.
I was very intrigued that how is DRDO from inside? What's happening inside DRDO?
There's a lot of change is happening in DRDO because present government is giving a right direction for us to be self-sufficient. It's, of course, we have been talking about it for years, but the more emphasis of private companies coming into the play is becoming more obvious now. In the government's emphasis to see that the products are produced in the country, not necessarily only by the public sectors, is a real change, because earlier we have only the development time, small MSMEs were helping. The big players were not into the game.
Right.
Very rarely, of course. But now it is an order of the day that every big company would like to have their own defense vertical. That changeover has happened in the last about a decade or so. So that change is automatically helping us for us to see the outcome of the research in a shorter span is much, much more interesting, and obviously it is influencing us to do more things. To give an example, I don't know whether you are aware of the company called Economic Explosive in Nagpur. They came long time back when I was in service as a secretary for the handheld grenade for transfer of technology. It used to be done with only with the ordnance factory. Against lot of opposition, maybe from the union, I got the permission from the then defense minister, none other than Honorable Minister Manohar Parrikar, and he was very, very supportive in these aspects. And he said you can give production order as well as a TOT to both our own ordnance factory as well as to the private company. Believe me, after handing over the data or the documents, it took about 6 months for them to almost come with a prototype, while ordnance factory was still looking for supplier to give the components or the raw material. So you can see the difference. In a 6 months time, they have made the prototype. Of course, it went through a lot of sort of trials. Even in some trials, some mishaps happened. But at the end of it, before even a blink of an eye, they produced, and today they are exporting it. In lakhs it is being done. That type of change is what attracts the scientists more than a routine way of doing our own latency. In addition to that, production agencies' latency makes us to feel very uncomfortable.
So there are a lot of private players as well who are backing up with different components which are used in defense, and tech as well, providing that to the defense system, and in collaboration they are working together.
Yes, we always make the first prototype. We also go to the extent of trials, but the prototype is a prototype. Unless otherwise it's a large product like AWACS, you cannot afford to have one prototype and one real working one. Right? Whereas in a handheld grenade, there is no such a reason that we cannot make tens of them or hundreds of them even as a prototype and try it out. Subsequently, even the production unit can come with the first iteration, second iteration, and all those things.
Right.
In the large scale production, where it is numbers are needed, like a Pinaka rockets, you look at it, they are again producing. I was fortunate to go and have a sort of one of the hangar inaugurated at the point of time. So that type of companies where it comes up, you see a potential in terms of improving the product. Obviously they do come back while it is in manufacturing. Certain amount of feedback could be for a cost cutting, could be for manufacturing convenience, or raw material not being available, or sometime even suggestion from them. It all put together improves the product over a period, and we can be internationally competitive.
So we are talking about the private business in defense, where individuals can make their own companies and be part of that. And I've heard this, that there's big money in that.
Absolutely.
देश की सेवा में बहुत पैसा है.
100%. It's all over the world. Not that it is not only in India. And nothing wrong in it, because you look at a manufacturer of an automobile, he designs not with any specific person in mind, whereas here it is made to the order of the required defense services. Let's say Indian requirement has been fulfilled. Now, is there a possibility that any other country will buy or not? It's a question mark sometimes.
Right.
Because it might be tailor-made for our own need. Some of the doctrines need not be applicable to the other countries. So the probability of buying from the other countries start with a question mark.
Right.
Let's talk about our own requirement. Today you design, develop, and then one battalion of whatever the requirement is taken, one squadron equivalent, they buy. Are you sure that it will be a perennial, continuous production order? I have no control over it. I mean the business person, look at it, what is the continuum of that particular product. So he would have set up enormous amount of facilities thinking that it is going to be a run of the mill and it is going to be continuously be needed. We have only one customer who has to be pleased all the time.
Right.
And he has got his own bosses. So the defense business is to that extent bit of uncertain. Single customer, your product may or may not be acceptable in the other country without some spending money or sometime including changing some of the parameters. So that is the reason it was very, very, very limited or a lukewarm type of performance in the past. But that has been changed now.
Right.
We have been told that you believe and do. Once the product is acceptable, you are sure of orders, which was not the case. You completely finish, end of it, it may be acceptable, not acceptable. You may be wondering why again and again DRDO and Bharat Electronics or Bharat Dynamics or HAL combination type of products always had a time overrun, because nobody is at pressure to do that. If there is a pressure of a requirement and if there is any alternative better product is there, I might as well go and buy that rather than pushing that in a ultra high speed. So the defense was in a sort of a low key, not in an urgency.
Okay.
Not because of there is no need or people don't want to be prepared. Everyone knows that there is an alternative. If for some reason either the defense R&D or the defense production has not come up to that extent, I have a way out or a plan B to go and succeed in that.
What is the plan B? If we are
Plan B is nothing but importing it.
Right.
So today we are putting sort of a brake on the imports. That is what is making everybody to feel. Also an assurance given to the manufacturer from the private, who has to invest money, that you after investing, if he is not going to get the orders, he has to close down this shop. It's not like sustainability is not there. So they are taken care of once they finish the project. Earlier the problem was, even after doing, nobody was assured. Neither I can promise you take up my technology and produce, there will be a requirement of in hundreds. I have no powers. Neither services can tell, because their requirement will keep changing with the time to time. Drone was unheard of about 10 years back.
Right.
Today nobody will even think of a war without a drone. So that means what? Why would, let's say, the services will try and buy everything today and pack it up, and tomorrow when they really go for war, if the technology is slightly different and they are in the defensive, because they exhausted all their money with whatever they thought about 10 years back or 5 years back or in the past. So that's why everybody want to be cautious. Everybody want to be probably served in just in time. When that has sort of given a lethargy or a mechanism was not up to the mark.
So did it trigger an alarm in the international market when India started building things on their own?
Obviously. I know many friends are knocking at the doors and saying whether it is possible for us to work with the DRDO or work with a private company. Can you engage? Because we can understand that you have a good amount of technology, and we can also augment, and we can probably substitute you in certain places, and you can also substitute us in our own requirement in terms of manufacturing and sharing your knowledge or whatever it is. So that is very much as a change has come up.
So I would say this is the topmost reason why world turned towards India whenever there is some disturbance across the world.
Obviously, yes. Earlier we were not in a position to say yes, I can supply you. I have done, my first appointment in DRDO was in Bengaluru. It's called LRD, or Electronics and Radar Development Establishment. The first ever export of slotted array from LRD, and no other export has happened from LRD. When I joined, that was the first export. In those days about 30 lakhs or 40 lakhs each antenna, like that, tens of them we have sold to the Polish Navy. When we did that, the permission to get was not easy. If you are a private player, if you make something and you want to supply to Polish Navy or whatever it is, you have to go to Chennai, there is an office, you get a clearance, they will say where it is used, India know where it is used, they will say jolly well go and sell. If it is not used, you go. Whereas DRDO is meant for doing for the services. So then it is meant for our own services, then how can you go and sell it elsewhere? So that fellow will say, you go and get a certificate from somewhere. Who will give me a certificate? I go to my higher ups. I was a small scientist D in those days. I knocked at the door of our headquarters. They say, no, how important it is, I don't know. You get the letter from Navy because it is for a Polish Navy. You go to the Navy and come.
Right.
You a scientist D, you go and stand up and down and ask, I have done some product, they are showing some interest, I may be able to sell it. Who wants your 30 lakhs here, 40 lakhs here, chod do. So it was not encouraging, right? Today on the other hand, we encourage very rigorously. In fact, during my period, I brought in return on investment, ROI, in a scientific domain. How can you bring in this type of terminology? How can we quantify every possible return?
Right.
And how do you say that when I am taking 5 years for a design, during the time I have not returned, so I should be returned off? Lots of questions, lot of queries came up. So there is another terminology we brought in called EOI. Simple example I'll tell you. We have our own life sciences. Many people will question what for you need life sciences. Food, is it your job? But you go to north, particularly in the Western Command, and then ask anybody in the Leh Ladakh area, anywhere, the soldier, do you know DRDO? Yeah, DRDO we know. Which lab? Leh. From there, what you are getting? Fresh sabji I am getting.
Okay.
So that means they are not knowing DRDO for anything else because most of the equipments probably will bought at that point of time from elsewhere. I am talking about 15 years back. But they were certainly remembering the so-called life sciences lab so vividly and so passionately. And they were so affectionately coming and supporting them because whether it is a winter or a summer or whatever it is, you will have a continuum of the supply of fresh vegetables. After all, human beings, they need to be psychologically be happy to even fight a war, right? If you say no, today you can starve or tomorrow you can eat something substantial, but today you live with whatever, I suppose, I don't think they will be very happy. So that's the reason they allowed us. And there are some particularly there is some type of berry in the Leh berry that was having so much of value in the sense omega-3 fatty acid and so many things it had, and it was extracted and some sort of even drinks was done, normal soft drinks.
Right.
It was not attractive at that point of time. We only will consume ourselves. But then with the Parikar and Baba Ramdev, we could make one jolt, and he took the technology and he started asking the farmers there to bring the harvest of their own. This is very, very easily available, but they brought in large quantity. It's a business for them, and he could manage to bring it as a routine supply from the military itself. He got his business, the farmers got the business, and it is a good nourishment product and it is locally available. So if you look at it, this percolation was done by one of the DRDO Life Sciences Lab.
Nice. You sure is a businessman because you started on a business front. You're starting your own business now after retirement, right?
I might.
You might.
I mean, one more point you would like to know that we were in existence when I was there in DRDO as a helm of affairs. 60th year was that time. We started around 1958, so somewhere around 2018 we were crossing that 60th year. So by that time, though there is a government rule above 50, 55, if you are absolutely not yielding or producing something as a scientist, we have a mechanism of weeding out those people.
Okay.
If not golden handshake, we can tell them, sorry, we have gone through first review, second review, third review, now I cannot keep you anymore. With a complete warning, there is nothing hidden, nothing thrown out or whatever it is. I have done 3 people I sent out of the service. I am supposed to be one side soft spoken, well meaning, no rash business, but I was business like. Look, Baba, it is not possible for us to continue that way. It is not for your sake. Sooner or later, DRDO will be wounded up, or our own, the younger generation, will come and curse because of our lethargy. We cannot take life for granted.
You know, there's a term which is coming in my mind, which I just want to make it. It's just out of nowhere. It's called corporate cultivation, which is known worldwide. This is how you cultivate in the
Absolutely.
corporate in any
Yep.
setup.
Sure. Once you assume a position of the director, till you are getting higher position or retiring, only these two can destabilize you from that position. In a scientist, when you are a scientist B, C, everywhere, you go through interview process. As a director, of course your promotion is separate, your salary will increase or whatever it is, but that authority what you have as a director never challenged. I challenge that, saying that every director is appointed only for 2 years. After that, you will continue subjected to the condition you are productive. You can be a person in the scientific domain doing extremely good job, but not necessarily the techno managerial job what is needed for the managers or directors. So there was a lot of question mark why you are doing this, right? I said, what is wrong? If you are performing, you will be walked through. It's a cakewalk. It's another way of showing off that you are better. But if you feel that many people are not up to the mark and you are working very hard, what is the incentive for you? If I treat you alike with somebody else, there has to be some differentiation. In life, one is that you appreciate and give respect for somebody who is doing very well. But then, with the same treatment, if you happen to give to a person just because he attains some position, then what happens is that person who is working also gets demoralized.
Right.
So I had this interview business. I keep professors. So then some sort of a resentment was there, but after me it is discontinued. That's a different issue. I did it whatever I could do. Likewise, if you would like to become a DG or a director, there is no system of selection process. I, as a secretary, have full authority to appoint. I said, no, anybody can apply, right? Let him apply. There will be a committee. The committee will review and tell whether that person has got a real ability or not. Afterwards, we'll take a call from the judgment from the organization point of view. He's doing wonderful work and that project is important, then we'll not disturb. Also, we used to have at that point of time, there is no fair sex or the ladies in the top echelon. When I created this, to my surprise, we got a 33% of the topmost DGs were from the ladies.
Wow.
Because earlier we used to assume, oh, a lot of travel will be there, lot of trials will be there. You are a female, you have got your own grown-up sons or children, you may have to take care of your family. This type of extra consideration or our colleagues or the female colleagues was probably suppressing that. Nobody was there. But during my period it becomes 33 and it's now continuous.
Will definitely come. There's a full chapter I have what happened during your period. But tell me one thing, while growing up as a young scientist, did you ever think that you will be leading DRDO one day?
No, but at the same time I must honest to say, one Banerjee, Amresh Banerjee, was another, he is much elder to me, maybe about 10 years elder to me. He came to me and then said, Krishnapur, you wait and see. You watch my word, you will become one day the top man in DRDO. Why he said, I don't know. Maybe at that time in LRD I was the only doctorate from engineering background. Other than that, I used to work hard and nothing else I did. And when this man absorbed what he did, I don't know.
What were you working on that time when he said this?
I was working in Aakash Array.
Okay.
Because in the late 80s and 90s, beginning of 90s, Aakash was the prime. People thought as being a smaller missile and range is lesser, it is much simpler and not much of a collaboration. Like for instance, wherever we call it as a nuclear tipped or whatever it is, that type of larger strategical missiles, we had some connect with, let's say, Russians also.
Right.
Whereas for this, we never had any connect. Having done the big, the small can be done. Unfortunately, the trick is in the small because the tactical, it has to track and go and hit. This is only a long range, larger, payload carrying capacity.
Right.
Maybe it has to go faster, but not with the maneuverability is not a issue. So when it comes to the maneuverability, first of all, you need to detect your target, right? And then the target's maneuverability, you have to track it closely.
Okay.
After that, you should have your own missile which is capable of maneuvering. and either you have a capability to pick up the target yourself and maneuver, or at least from the back you need to help both.
So you just give the coordinates, it will hit that part only.
Exactly.
But if the target is moving, Aakash didn't have that
No,
capability.
the
that
larger,
time.
like Agni type of missiles, long range, maybe 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 kilometers, but it'll go and meet you, go to the target wherever you want, because the re-entry time is very fast, nobody can prevent it. But for that, nothing is maneuvering, it's a fixed place, right? If you're given the coordinate right from the beginning, it knows it has got enormous time for it to correct and go there.
Right.
Whereas here, instant your enemy is changing. It's an aircraft, you're going to, flying in aircraft, you're going
Right.
to hit, and the human being is there. He is not going to be dumb, he will try to avoid, he will take a maneuver. So the detection portion of it came to the LRD because it's a radar which does. The radar sits at the back, looks at your own missile where he is going, and looks at your target where it is maneuvering. Both the coordinates, knowing that it does a vector and tells the missile move here, move here, move here. Missile is not having much of brain at that point of time.
Right.
Now we have added more, but at that point of time, it's only the back radar which sees both and say go here to go and hit him.
Right, right.
So that radar requirement came to us.
So initially, I was talking to retired Air Marshal Philip Rajkumar. I was just talking about how a missile works in an aircraft. So he said, motor burns for 6 to 7 seconds, and then it's done. You have to take maneuver, you have to do the flares, and then you can take the missile away. But new missiles, they have bigger motor, they are more expensive. But what you are saying, Aakash, what it was then and now, it can go for longer time, keep changing its course, and
Yes.
be accurate.
In other words, Aakash is meant to hit a maneuvering target.
But what is the time Aakash has got?
It's all in maximum in a second, nothing more than. But the radar is keep seeing both your enemy target as well as where you are heading to. Your missile, your Aakash missile, and the enemy. He is trying to, whenever he maneuvers, the range between the missile and the target goes off. You have to keep vectoring yourself, go closer and closer. But still, it has got a range of not more than 30 kilometers. If by chance he skips that range, beyond that, then you run out of fuel.
Right, it's quite a range. 30 kilometers, quite a range. So you were working in Aakash, and that is when Mr. Banerjee said that you can be heading DRDO. But tell me, what was your aha moment that when you were a scientist, as a young scientist or something, must have created something, and you're like, wow, I've created something magical, and this is awesome.
In the Aakash itself, I studied in IIT Madras, came out of my PhD. During that time, emergency was there.
What were you studying?
I was in electromagnetics and antennas
Okay.
was my area. I did my MTech in IIT Kharagpur, then I joined IIT Madras for PhD, then I was free.
Your parents always wanted you to be a scientist in science?
In those
Or
days,
it was your
scientist
decision?
word was not utilized, it's engineering or engineer
yes.
was the word.
So your parents wanted you to be an engineer, or you wanted
I
to be an
declared
engineer?
myself as an engineer and they allowed me to be an engineer.
Okay.
Because my mother is a teacher, my father is a preacher. So they said, what you want to become? Right from the beginning, I started telling engineer. I don't know what attracts me. When I came fresh from Indian Institute of Technology, Chennai, where there is a new technique called a near field to far field transformation, which was in the late 80s and late 70s and 80s. US started working on it. For a bigger or a very, very secretive antennas, we are not supposed to expose its radiation pattern, put in the open, that's what the range. The range will be very, very large, few kilometers away, and then in a large high pedestal you are supposed to put and measure. That's a conventional far field measurement. Even now it is there. But then the near field measurement started coming where people don't want you to know even the frequency in which it is being done, measured.
Okay.
Because that is one of the trump card with which everybody was playing. Now they got a equipment which will, in no time will tell you what frequency you are operating, but still you got somebody change the frequency, you run behind it and he changes faster, you run behind it faster. Keeping the frequency under the carpet was the best possible way of avoiding or denying the other guy know what you are doing. So that's the time the near field ranges has come. And I happened to work with my professor in my PhD. There was one Sinha by name, was another DLRL scientist, went to US for his training for about 6 months. When he came back, he brought those Professor Paul Walker's documents. Some NBS is the agency. Those agencies' documents talking about the near field, far field transformation. My professor he gave that documents to him, sir. These are some new areas where people are working. Why not you have a look at it? And he who started Department of Electronics, one of the unit in Chennai, during that time he gave these documents. We never had any near field facility to measure the near field, but we can synthetically generate. So we did the synthetic generation and did the transformation. In a small computer center, our computation it will take about 5 years. One computation. So it was not very popular, but at the same time it was existing. When this Aakash array came, the size was so large and a lot of electronics inside, we could not take it and take the risk of doing it there. First of all, its weight is very heavy, and in addition to that, all the electronics are exposed. So my boss, none other than Mr. Levi, had a very, very worrying thing. I don't know, Christopher, this is becoming a pain. What do we do? We have done array, but now don't know how to test it. So I said that, sir, I know some technology, can we do it? He said, why not? I got 3 people totally with me. Incidentally, the MSc Computer Science, in those days they brought in and gave all of us. So I got at least MSc Computer Science. And the room was nothing but one of our dispensary. That's a big hall. Big hall means not maybe as big as this, was only available. And one scanner to be prepared. For the scanner, money is needed. So I asked, we can give a 36 or 37 lakhs was the project. Was the money at that time. So we created this one and started getting some result. I said, I'm getting some result. I was happy. My boss was not happy. He said that you are getting a result. It's looking like a pattern. How do I know that is a pattern for this?
Right.
You are right, sir. I don't know how to prove. Then he himself said there is something called golden antenna for which we have got a reference pattern. The day that you get matching result, then I will trust you. I said, well done, give me. I took that antenna. We had some tough time because that antenna has got a horn in front. So our transformation has to be done, the near field collection has to be slightly away. But still we could do that. We completed that. Once we completed on the pattern, I was very happy. My boss, again like a doubting Thomas, asked me many questions. I want you to take the pattern in presence of me. I'm now going to change the frequency. I won't even tell you the frequency. So be it, do it. One after the other, he saw we are keep getting the expected result. Of course, there is some variation, not that it is sitting on it. It's all well within the engineering acceptable limit. Then he said, this is it. Now I am accepting it. Then we all marched to our director by name Rajendran. He was a very nice gentleman, but strict. He was from MIT Chennai. So he said, you are getting it. Then we will share it with Dr. Kalam. So that is the time, first time we got a trigger saying that, wow, we also can manage. Then we said we should make a copyright of that because it's not existing in the country at that time. So we decided to give some acronym. We looked at various things. Finally, it landed up in name. It's a classic product, like that they said. Classic. So why not we give a name class? So because my name is Christopher C. Limai, Mr. Limai, L. Then A for one Alex was the scientist given to me. Then followed by one more scientist by name Sedo and another scientist by Sumao. Now I am alive. My boss is no more. Unfortunately, Alex, young age itself, he passed away. Sedo, he left DRDO, but he is very much in US. And last person is Suma. She is the now Director General sitting in DRDO. This year she may retire. So all of us are very happy and we sent the copyright. DRDOs are particularly from LRD, that was the first copyright. So that type of movements have come.
That is where you put Aakash in operation.
Yeah, right.
Wow.
Until such a time we were not. And another important thing which I must say, so you see nearly about 30 years by the time we are seeing the fruit of it. 30 years back we were doing, 90s we were doing. And when I was a chief of DRDO, in 2015, in Parikkar's hand, I am standing at the back, handed over the Aakash system officially to Air Force in Gwalior.
Wow.
So it takes so much of time. So we have to have a setup like DRDO. We must have enormous number of private companies like what presently is being there. They can only make it numbers more.
Now you were heading AWACS.
Yes.
You are the man who brought AWACS into the system. AWACS is Airborne Early Warning and Control System. That's what AWACS is all about. How would you explain it to general public? What are AWACS?
Yeah. When we are trying to detect the targets, target is nothing but any other aircraft which can quickly come from the enemy territory to your territory and bomb the vital places and go back. When the radar is detecting, okay, you will see that range is say 30 kilometers, 40 kilometers, 60 kilometers. Beyond that, the earth itself is having a curvature. Whatever the altitude at which he is flying, maybe about 100, 200 kilometers away, you will not be able to see it just by sheer curvature.
Right.
So the beams will look straight, they don't bend and see.
Okay.
Because of that, you will not be able to see those enemy aircrafts till they come into the radar beam. The radar beams are straight and this is having a curvature. He is coming like this, your beam is going off like this till he comes to this place. That means your range is limited.
So basically this is the antenna, this is the aircraft.
Right.
Your beam is going here.
Right. And in between the curvature is like this.
Okay.
Because of that the beam cannot see anything down. If you keep on put down, any obstructions can block.
Right.
Forget about that, you may be able to find it difficult to visualize. Let's say this is the radar antenna. There is a hill in between and the aircraft is coming behind this.
Here, aircraft.
Aircraft is here. So if it is coming here, how will you see this? This fellow will block. If I come above this, then you may be able to see.
Right.
Until then you are not able to see. Knowingly you keep here, he purposely come this side. You keep here, you will purposely come the other side. These are tactics.
Right.
So on the other hand, if he does anything, you let him do, you lift this fellow up, he becomes visible.
Right.
So instead of being in the ground, if the sensor, like a radar sensor, if it is on a higher platform himself, he can see, look down wherever he is coming. Even on the ground he is crawling, it can be seen. That is the principle. That means the radar is otherwise on the ground. He is put on a platform like an aircraft and the aircraft itself is flying. The tactic started like this. Initially they used to come, the bombers had come at a higher altitude. Towards the 70s and 80s, the fighters started coming at a very, very low height. Low flying was the very, very important. So the tactic started, the pilots become wiser and started hugging the ground so that they can avoid the radars.
Right.
And we become wiser and wiser. Look, I will put the radar itself on top of an aircraft.
Right.
So I'll go up and see.
Okay.
Okay.
How far up did you go with the antenna?
We can go up to the normal, whatever the aircraft can go, 40,000 feet.
But if you're at 40,000 feet,
Yeah.
Netra, which has been made,
Yes.
Netra also works in a stealth mode. What is Netra and how did you use Netra?
Netra is nothing but it is an aircraft fitted with number of sensors. One primary sensor is radar. It has got a range of nearly about 350 kilometers. Now, with the range of about 350 kilometers, plus there is something called ESM. ESM is if there is a fighter aircraft and he has got his own radar in the nose cone, which is for his own enemy or his own targets he has to find out. When he radiates, the radiation itself we can capture. So that is called ESM. In addition to that, no radar, no pilot can fly without having a communication. He will be in contact with his own station. So when he does that, that's a low frequency, that communication band. So that is called CSM. communication systems, electronics. So all these things we keep sensing one after the other. You have a radar, you have a ESM, you have a CSM, you have what is called IFF or a secondary surveillance radar. IFF is a must for any even civilian aircraft. If I am traveling from one place to other place, I have been given one code, civil aircraft, one code. I am supposed to give that code whenever anybody queries me.
Right.
This natural way of proving that I am innocent is when I query, the other fellow will answer who he is. Whereas fighter aircrafts query and answer, they answer wrong answer. Sometimes they don't answer. That means there are some corridors are there for a civil aircrafts. But this fellows will go in a different place. His speed will be different. His altitude may be different. However much he might try to mimic, there are certain things we can find out. So all these features are extracted sitting in the aircraft. There are operators sitting there on the aircraft. Let's say for some reason today you know that very well that we have bombed some of the airports of our friends.
Right.
So they are absolutely operation is Sindoor, right? So we are not able to, they cannot operate. But if you have an AWACS, this AWACS is nothing but a completely control and guidance for any fighter, any aircraft to take and go. So they get all the information, they guide our own pilot, please do this, please do that. The first success for our own AWACS or AWNC was in 2019. Balakot, where we could hit an F-16 with whatever the aircraft we have, only because we were radio silent. Our aircraft was not radiating, not transmitting, but we at the back, AWACS at the back, AWNC or Netra at the back, keep seeing both our own aircraft and the enemy aircraft and guided him, please do this, please do that. And exactly he followed, and that's how Abhinandan could do what he could do that.
Wow.
So it is an eye in the sky or a eye of a God has helped it at that point of time. And we are proud that we could have been, we were so fortunate to be a part of that development.
So how were they communicating when the radio system was off?
Yes.
Because so that nobody could catch us.
Radio means he is not putting his radar in the forward direction to find out the F-16.
Okay.
He is blind, whether F-16 is there or not, he is not knowing.
Okay.
Whereas we are seeing both him, Abhinandan, as well as F-16.
Okay.
So we were telling him, F-16 is coming, this is the time you have to release your weapon. This is the weapon you got, this is the range it has got, it cannot go more than that. You release at this point of time, take a turn and come. If you are captured, so be it, doesn't matter. This is the way we keep communicating, and he will do accordingly. Even his fuel, we monitor.
Okay.
Our own friend's fuel. Baba, you cannot travel beyond this. Take a turn and come. No, this is vulnerable. What do I do? Fair enough. You take this route. You do this. I am giving a cover. All these things are continuously done by the operators.
Okay.
Sitting in the aircraft.
Right.
But it's not end of the game. We keep transmitting entire information in a coded way, both to the air headquarters as well as some selected places.
Okay.
So even they are all fully aware of what is happening. What our operator is seeing in the air is seen by them also on the ground.
Okay.
So occasionally they can also give advisory.
Okay.
Do this, don't do this.
Okay. But you are in action, so you have to give the command.
We means that particular AWACS has to take a command, provided we are authorized. We may also be told, look, you are not autonomous mode. I am there as your friend. I am there, your elder brother. I will keep giving you, don't worry. But you, based on this, you do. Last mile you take. But until then, please wait. So the AWACS is taken about 15 years in US. We also taken somewhat similar time. Much lesser in cost. Of course, US is in old Boeing 707 and followed by the Russians had. Russians made it in, they call it A50, which is nothing but the HS7, IL-76.
IL-76 is a military
carrier. So we also bought from Israel based on that aircraft, AWACS. But you know, the aircraft is, after all, it's not a new aircraft. So it has got its own teething trouble, not teething trouble, its own service problems. Whereas Embraer is a brand new aircraft. It's a Western controls and other things. So the operation of the Embraer is very available, and fortunately our systems also proven over the now more than a decade, and so they're loving our product and they are insisting that we should make more. So as a matter of fact, at this point of time, we have got orders for 12 numbers for our own country.
12 orders you have got, but in total we have 3 AWACS?
3 AWNC, or in addition to that, 3 imported AWACS.
Okay.
Arupraha, our ex-chief, when he went to Indonesia, they were asking for our own system. They given a letter. Peru used to ask us for AWACS.
Okay. So there's demand of Indian tech in the world now.
Absolutely. That is where a debate came again during Parik's time. Should we have to give our systems? Then we decided within ourselves, we will have a version 1 and version 2.
Okay.
When we are able to create, we can always create versions. That's not a problem.
Right.
So always you buy any equipment, they will say exclusively wait for you. Meaning I reduce certain parameters for you.
For update, you have to take the subscription basically.
Right.
You have to pay monthly. But since you're flying, how high you're flying that the enemy radar is not detecting you?
No, the way of evading is we are safe inside our territory. We will never be close to their territory.
Okay.
And we are always escorted. It's a high valued item. When compared to others, we are not maneuverable. We cannot maneuver like fighters, but we are always escorted. The idea is let them know. If they know, so what? We are having so many other fighters to support not only us, but also to hit them. So
How many fighters go with you in escort?
Normally 2 or 3. Where the other aircrafts are there, some of them are already in the flying, some of them will not fly even. So we keep monitoring. We will be on the move for 24/7 sometime. For long endurance, we are supposed to do. That's why this aircraft, in the world, about 1,000 odd Embraer 145 aircraft is there. None of them made it with the air-to-air refueling. It's basically passenger aircraft.
Right.
We were the first one to convert into passenger aircraft. Had a humongous amount of trials in Agra we did.
See, when we talk about AWACS, you have of course worked very closely with missiles programs as well. Aakash is one of them, which we discussed how Aakash came into the commission. I've seen and I've read while growing, there is Agni, Prithvi, Aakash, Nag, Trishul. Now there is K series, Astra, Nirbhay, and along with Russia we have the Brahmastra, which is called Brahmos. What's a capability we are developing to redefine the future deterrence?
Right. It's unlike in the past. We can stand-off distance has become enormously large, and the newest way of doing it is exactly I said, the low-flying targets, the low-flying aircraft which was hiding itself from the radars. The cruise missiles are the order of the day. The cruise missiles take off and go in a much lower altitude, very fast, close to that place. Then they take off and go up and then come down very fast. The going up and coming down is to get a momentum. When you are striking, when you have to give a real good impact, we have to detonate the whatever the bomb we carry, not exactly after hitting, just above. Then only it will be having a spread. And not only that, it should be impact with a huge kinetic energy. That also you come only when you raise up and come. It's like you go flat like this and go up and come. That is one technology which we have mastered. The other one is 2 pulse. In the sense you boost your missile, take off, then use your first stage, whatever the fuels, and then you keep going. Once you reach certain height, and if you use the gravitational force itself, you can reach much longer distance.
Right.
Virtually we don't use any fuel at that point of time. The gravity takes a turn and tries to come.
Okay.
When it takes an acceleration, we simply use our flaps and flatten and keep moving forward.
Okay.
The energy obtained by natural gravitational pull itself
Right.
we use. Then again, after some distance of some range obtaining, we have got next stage. We appropriately, after quiet time for some time, we appropriately ignite that, and that gives me again longer range.
Right.
So all these techniques have been perfected over several missiles. Now we call it as LR-SAM, MR-SAM, SR-SAM, and so many things. And as you rightly said, Astra missile is one of the excellent missile from air to ground.
Right.
And we have also done for hitting our own tanks and other things. So the warfare, if you look at it, we don't have to have close combat that much as it was required.
Okay. Now, Doordarshan. Doordarshan.
Yeah, Devya Drishti.
What's there inside a missile? Why it is so ballistic? What makes a missile so ballistic?
It has to have naturally the propellant. One could be a solid, other one could be a liquid. The advantage of solid is it's ever ready. You don't have to prepare. That means you decide to fire now, instantaneously you can do it. It has been stored in several places and kept for years now. Also, if you have a set of officers and men in the services, they cannot be kept as a dummy variable without even practicing. When you say you have to practice, you have to create a war scenario. If not war scenario, at least you need to know the first batch to second batch to new batch have to have a look at the missile and probably use the missile.
Right.
Otherwise, when you really want, they will not be aware. They will be searching for where the trigger is.
So how often do you use it? How often do you test it?
Very often. In the sense, plenty of arsenals are there. Everything has got a 6-month cycle or whatever it is. So what we do is, after keeping it for, let's say, a decade or so, some of them we use it, return it back to services. Of course, we maintain for them only, but also we tell them this can be used, this can be used, this can be used, and we use our own setup in Balasore, Kalam Island we have, and in fact during my period I taken over about 2,000 acres in Andaman and Nicobar also, to create another facility which can help us in testing even still long range missiles. Because
Okay.
now when we try to do the long range missiles, we have to tom all over, and because it may go over their countries, and which also consumes about 30% of our fuel, take a sharp turn and go. If there is any mishap happens, we are in a question mark. Even ISRO, why they went to Kulasegarapattnam is, we jointly, in fact, along with Kiran Kumar, we were trying to put up a place where the missiles as well as rockets can be launched.
Okay.
So that is our own southernmost part of the country, nearly virtually in the Indira Point. But unfortunately, after tsunami, the whole thing has gone down. Even
Right.
including, I visited that place, which is a rare place. Even that statue or whatever they kept, Indira Point, it is in now slushes. So the fear was that if such a thing anymore happens, our large investment and keeping that establishment could be a problem, and everything has to go from here. And South China's threat and other things we thought will not work. But otherwise, periodically we test these missiles, new as well as the old.
Do you wait for the war to happen? Do you have this talk amongst yourselves?
We don't pray at all, but we also indirectly, directly feel, both for men as well as for us, proving the point it happens. You tell me, would you be ever aware, I mean, I'm talking about the common man, about Aakash, and we worked for 30 years back. I worked for 30 years back, and we handed over in the year 2015. It took so much of time. I'm sure you will understand that 30 years back we will not expect a war to happen in 30 years later, and that's the time it will be utilized. But then today the respect on the R&D comes only when such an occasion comes. We are able to stand up, we are able to sustain, we are able to meet the need of the nation at that vulnerable time.
Like after Kargil war, we showed in Balakot that what Netra is all about, what our tech is all about. Now Operation Sindoor, which happened, none of our army moved that time.
Right.
We just showed them what tech we have got and whatever we were producing,
Correct.
we used it that time.
Yes. And even Kargil time, enormous amount of requirement came to DRDO. Only in this period we will be treated like a sort of a prized possession, because we will be able to give what people cannot predict. When we give certain missiles or buy certain missiles, we can tell them it cannot be used against me. Meaning, even if you stand upside down, that missile will not come towards you. So that type of restrictions are there in the world, with the knowledge going up and up. It's not a no longer like any other fireworks type of thing. So with that type of information and knowledge is there existing within the missile, we do not know who is the friend, who is the enemy. How much we can trust, we don't know. Who is going to switch off what, we don't know. As a matter of fact, we were thinking of one of the time seriously about the aircraft engine. The many electronics is used from various sources. Now only we are talking about our own electronics. I am talking about chips. Anytime somebody wants, can switch off and tell me bye-bye. You cannot go there. Enough, you come down. So it is not that the reliability on the technology from others is good, very good. It may be wonderful, but when the need comes, that can also backfire on us. That is a fear. So we have to have our own strength.
So building the strength, my initial question was very novice, and that is, this is a missile. How do you make it ballistic? How is this, what is inside this missile which is making it so dangerous and like taking away so many things around it?
No, the one is that the speed, right? To get the speed, you have to give a kinetic energy.
Right.
To get that kinetic energy, we have to burn certain things, right? So we have to keep on discover or find out a good propellant which can give that much of energy. Will take it forward.
Okay.
Plus we also becoming wiser and wiser. Imagine that the entire bottle is made into sections.
Okay.
And you don't carry all the sections all the time. The first, the booster phase is over, throw off that. And the next portion is over, throw off that.
Okay.
The next portion is over, throw off that. Keep the warhead alone and go.
Okay.
And that is a lightweight. It can be fast, it can be swift, it can be maneuverable. That is the end game. So this type of sectioning and making them lightweight, we used to use a completely steel, the outer shell, but now we started using composite, because it is lightweight, at the same time it is sustainable, and it can certainly withstand the pressure, whatever it is. The first point is, hundreds of years metals is known, so we'll rely on metal.
What metal is there?
Steel, type of steel.
Steel is there.
Type of steel. But obviously it will be heavier, right? But I can get a steel strength, maybe with a composite, not necessarily the same weight. So that is where we are trying to come into the picture. But then even in the question of the composite, one is the material, other one is the process. The process is the way in which we wind the threads and other things are equally important. So lots of research can be done. But the material basic, if it is a carbon, carbide or whatever it is, we need to rely on some countries. But slowly now we are coming out. Like for instance, Chennai-based group, Murugappa group, they got a QME. They got a lot of research and they got a lot of product in these areas. So likewise we are coming out, but otherwise it is the propellant which gives enormous amount of strength, and there is a good amount of research we continues to do, because each time we improve on it, that much mileage, that much speed we get.
Which is the deadliest missile we have got?
In terms of range or in terms of strategic, if you take range, if you take Agni, and it can be end-tipped also. But if you take tactical Brahmos, and likewise there are many are there, and Brahmos is limited in the sense you cannot put it on every aircraft. Astra and other things are equally good for tactical maneuverable targets.
I'm going to ask a very internationally wrong question, but how many missiles will it take to finish Pakistan?
See, we cannot make a estimate like probably what happened in Russia and Ukraine. Everybody predicted it's a question of time, and that too it's months or days or weeks. But is it sustained? So who is going to join with whom? We don't know.
No, they're going to join, but how many missiles do we take to just finish off one country like Pakistan? I'm just asking an estimate.
One missile.
One missile?
Of N.
No N. We don't want N. No, we don't want to talk about N.
Even N has got its own range. It's not that one missile can clear off everywhere. It's a psychological threat that might probably stop. That's what I meant. Whereas, see, you need to tell what is that finished off. No human being should be there, or many worthwhile installations should not be there. Even today, they are handicapped with a few of the airports being totally shut down. They are as good as immobile.
Right.
So it's a question of definition of what exactly is those one.
But what is Pakistan for you?
It's another friend, sometimes irritating. So we have to treat them with caution. They got reasons why they are like this, which may be possible for them to take control of, or may not even be possible for them to take control of. That's my feeling.
But can it ever be that they are not nurturing terrorists?
Very difficult, because anything it goes by the past. For some reason or the other, we are pushed into this and promoted by really the big nations. And now for them to come clean in all respect is very, very difficult.
So I asked you this earlier as well, that if we come on friendly terms with Pakistan or some negotiation happens between India and Pakistan, would world economy affect on this?
Hypothetical question first of all. Hypothetical answer, probably yes, because it can suppress or bring down lot of nuisance triggering, which probably will not be there, and consequently yes, economy can improve.
The defense
war is a loss for anybody, both sides. So if you keep triggering for whatever may be the reason, I am doing it for my sustenance, then obviously I am trying to bring down the economy of many others. So, and many people would like to use that as a trigger for improving their economy also. In the sense, I got a good arsenal, I would like to test it.
Right.
Which fool will buy it from me? Which fool will take it from me? I'll give it, willing to give it free. But then somebody has to take it and do some dadagiri and use it. And thereby I study and come to know, yeah, this is what it is. This is what it is. I have to improve here, do this. This is the way world is looking at it. War is not purely it's out of enmity or whatever. It's got a internal connotation to do with economy also.
It's also supply of the weapons should be in circulation.
Absolutely.
What is UN for you?
Presently, it has completely lost its value, I should say.
Okay.
Because they could have been more powerful, including the mighty Americans started shaking them up, saying that I will not pay you and so many things. And in addition to that, if their words are not heard, what is that we respect? I mean, some of us call it UN, and some people say, okay, so be it, you be with you. So that is where the problem is. We should all consciously respect and see that it is for a good cause. Then I'm sure the humanity will be happier and better.
Yeah, because Zelensky has been going all around for help. The friends betrayed him. Israel, Palestine, they have been at loggerheads with each other. So who will stop all this?
That's what. If it is one single United Nations were there, and they should be the one who has to do this. Today, they are not the primary. They are also there, but mainly one individual. You go and place, let's say US, or go to the Europe, or go elsewhere. I mean, that is the way. If it is there, then what is the point in having a common place where you don't even respect? If you have to go fall at the feet of n number of people, then the purpose is getting not served. I believe it has to be respected by us and create for a major conflict should be avoided, and that should be the best for the world.
And is China a threat for us?
Instead of using them as a threat, in case we don't consider as a threat, we know very well the history is going to repeat, or the history is cyclic. No mighty nation will be mighty forever. Allow them to take their turn, and I am sure we will be having our turn. So you should make use of that politeness and be within that limits, so we will not be consuming our resources.
But on defense strategy front, are we at a greater footing
With respect to them,
with respect to all our surrounding?
much better
friends?
than what we were. But with China, yes, we have to take it with some caution. There are occasions where the number of reported arsenals are higher than us. Not that it's not, we cannot, if you take Zelensky as well as the other side Putin, they are not equally. It's not at all symmetrical
Right.
warfare, asymmetric warfare. So that means what? You don't have to have equal footing, but we can have a better knowledge and intelligence to use it wisely.
Right.
That is more important.
So during your tenure as DRDO chief, what was the biggest strategic shift you initiated to align India's defense R&D with future warfare?
I will not take the credit that I aligned it or I shifted it, but we have certainly taken the possibility of, first of all, product exporting, product giving it to the private company for exporting was a basic shift we did at that time. There were letters after letters from the unions that why to private company, why not only to public sector, our jobs are going to go. Many opposition came against, personally against me also, but we withstood, explained to the minister. Minister was very, very kind enough and also absolutely knowledgeable and respected this concept, and thereby we could do that. Export, we have our own DAC meeting during which the then army chief said, we don't want our arsenal to be sold or given to elsewhere. Parikh took a decision, no, 10% will go out. As long as he is able to prove for others also they can do, it will go.
So
But then there is something called A part and B part. A is for India, B is for others. So the B is for others. What changes you have to make? That we have to have our own wisdom to do something.
Okay. So what all are we exporting and how much are we exporting?
Brahmos, you know very well. Then Pinaka rockets. Then Varunastra type of torpedoes. Like that, we have started many things.
So Brahmos is basically collaboration with India and Russia.
Yeah.
So
We are DRDO is 51% shareholder and Russia is 49. NPO Russia.
Okay. So R&D is done by them or by us?
No, jointly.
Jointly.
In the sense, there are certain technology which they have developed, they are willing to give. There are certain technology which we would like to have specifically for our own environment. We have already started doing it.
Okay.
And it is also allowed, even if I have a technology, I would like to create equivalent to that by other person, and if that technology is almost meeting the overall requirement, it is allowed. In other words, what was Russian component or a content, about 73% during my period, it came up to 43%. And it is still going down now.
So when you're selling a Brahmos, how much is one Brahmos cost?
Maybe about tens of crores, 3 or 4 tens of crores.
Okay, so 30 to 40 crores.
But that's, we talk about the missile alone, but also it needs a lot of paraphernalias, right?
Right.
It's also the launcher and radar system associated with that and so many other things.
So when you look at DRDO today, what part of its evolution do you feel that you left an imprint? Is it only opening the international market or something else as well?
One is international market, other one is there were feeling that we should have large projects which alone may be of attraction to the scientist, because we call it as a program. Whatever I was doing, AWACS was one of the program, or AWNC was a large size program. In those days it was about 2000 crores. Whereas small projects were given a slightly lesser importance. But I tell you, unless you have the small projects plenty, the utilization of the manpower was not up to the mark. The many labs were not up to the mark. So what we did is paradigm shift. During my period, 75 crores was the upper limit for me to sanction. I would have sanctioned more than 100 projects within that period, which was not the case earlier. All of them now, I keep getting, even after 5 years, 6 years, sir, what you gave. Like for instance, one small thing, SWIFT is a project. It's an ADE. It's unmanned combat aircraft. SWIFT is a bird, the name.
Right.
Very small project. I pushed like anything, gave the project, and they already gone for trials and it is coming up like anything. So that type of thing we started more. Like one more project, if you want, I can tell you name. Torpedoes have got the capacity to go about 30-20 kilometers, not more than that.
Okay.
But if you know a threat which is about 100 kilometers, 200 kilometers, 300 kilometers away, so where is the need for us to, I mean, how do we do it? Every time we cannot keep sending only missiles, because it is an underwater equipment. We know the presence, somewhere it is there, some intelligence is telling you. So you have to have a torpedo to get that underwater, hit that underwater equipment, but then somebody has to carry it over there. So we converted one of the missile to carry a torpedo, drop it in the vicinity, then the torpedo takes on.
Okay.
It uses its sonar and finds out about what it has to do. And that's a project which is not existing. We created it. Now it is fully operational.
Wow.
In that also plenty of labs are involved. Missile labs are involved. The torpedo labs are involved. The parachute labs are involved. Because you cannot drop the torpedo in such a speed. Even the water, when it crosses, it will break into pieces. Those things are all to be taken care of.
So you worked in AWACS, you worked with missiles, but how good are you with chopsticks?
Very poor.
What is the future warfare? Is there going to be war in space with anti-satellite weapons and space defense now in play? Is the final frontier becoming the next battlefield, and how is DRDO preparing for that?
Naturally, the space is getting utilized for the war purpose, and as we speak, many people say there are many sort of satellites are there which are rogue, and nobody claims that it's mine. So that means the rogue satellite can be a huge threat, unimaginable extent.
Okay.
It may not kill us, but it may make us to become totally vegetable, not able to do our day-to-day chores and whatever it is. And it can big pressure on the political system much more than what impact of hitting somebody or killing somebody. Much more than that it can happen.
Okay.
Deep south, peacefully we are all there, and then you are not able to go to your bank money is lost, you don't know what to do, you cannot travel, something like that. If a disturbance happens, that is much more threatening, right? Much more irritant to us.
So what we saw in Mission Impossible,
Yes.
the final frontier,
Yeah.
it's the reality, it can
It's a
happen.
reality, it can happen. So you are very much aware that we have done that A-star missile with that. We already hit one of the satellite. Of course, we worked along with the ISRO in that experiment. So we know very well that we can do it, and the world knows that they talked about debris and gone close to their station and all those things. We heard, but they know very well that we are capable of doing that also. Likewise, the AI-based cyber attack is one of the major worry, and obviously that it like a cold or a slow poisoning. Many equipments we buy innocently use, and it gives you every possible your information. One day only to see that your entire wealth is wiped out. That is a type of fears are there both in the common man as well as subtle military echelon. So we have to be very, very, very careful.
That's kind of another kind of war, basically.
Another kind of war, which is not all visible, but it is happening underground. So that is where the importance is given by DRDO today.
Nice. So, how do you balance the need for indigenous innovation with global collaboration in defense? That
Yep.
you have to make on your own as well, and you have to collaborate with others as well.
Yep.
Brahmos is one of the examples.
Why only Brahmos? There are many are there. Like for instance, LRSAM, SRSAM, many things are there. Like for instance, AWACS itself we are talking about. The aircraft is from Embraer. Now we are making the next version with the Airbus. So the aircraft manufacturer helps us in mounting certain things, right? Once we work like this, we share certain common interest, and that also leads to business for both the sides. They know our weakness, at the same time they know our strength also. So people do come back to you for working in that area.
Right.
You may be much cost effective. You may be much more wiser in doing it. Not necessarily all the time India is looked upon only cost effective. We are respected for what we are capable of doing it also. So if you look at that aspect, the collaboration will continue to exist. You cannot have in this world doubting everybody. We will have, of course the collaboration will exist today, tomorrow it may not be there, but at the same time, it will continue to have countries will work together.
On that note, sir, I'll give you one.
Thank you.
Collaborative sushi.
Thank you.
What breakthrough products or a game changer products you're proud of during your tenure?
When you say tenure, I stayed in DRDO for nearly about 30 years. Or are you referring to tenure the last 3 years where I was the secretary? Because the major products takes its own gestation time, ultimately utilization. You take Aakash. It's taken about 30 years by the time fully utilized. Or talk of AWACS or AWNC, nearly about 15 to 20 years. I was fortunate to induct the first one during my period. I was fortunate to induct LCA during my period. 30 years it has taken. Like Aakash was inducted, at least for Air Force during my period. AWNC was inducted during my period. All these things are, in my opinion, I'm lucky. Not that everywhere I worked as a wholesome.
Right.
Aakash, yes, no doubt. LCA, yes, I have definitely my antenna was there for quite some time. In addition to that, in the AWNC, right from the beginning, I was the chief designer. But if you say nuclear submarine, yes, I was part of it. Many decisions I have taken, many things I have pushed to see that it happens within that period. The second one, we pushed a lot. Third one, we got the project cleared. Many things we did, but my contribution physically may be limited. But I'm proud of that. It happened during my period.
So, what's your fantasy? If you're given whatever budget you want, no bureaucracy coming in between, what would you want to develop?
Now,
So what's the fantasy? There must be some fantasy that this is what I want to...
Star War, other than, let's say, cyber war. Okay, Star War is something which needs money, because you said fantasy, money and whatever it is. Then I'm looking at really about that. But the cyber war is existing, and we are all working somewhere or other. But that is not big money. And that is not known as a fantasy, but it is.
But if I give you a free hand that, Dr. Christopher, whatever money you want, no interference, build something.
Space is the main target as far as we are concerned.
Right.
It is going to be a real threat for all of us, because we are going to have a dependence on GPS and other things so much. Anytime anybody can misguide you. So if you are not having our own say, and that is a sure threat for all of us.
So you've seen Iron Man, right? That Iron Man suit is, I think, will come sometime in the future.
It's already there.
It's already there.
In a different avatar. Like for instance, in the forward area for soldiers to carry some of the things, we are giving lot of aid or help or whatever it is. Slowly it will go, and then it become a completely clone, completely on its own it will operate. You sit somewhere and give some command, it will do on its own.
Okay.
And AI also will put it in that.
The universal soldiers.
Yes.
Wow. What are the biggest misconceptions civilians have about DRDO?
Plenty. First of all, they look at DRDO as another government organization, like a clerical or giving some certificate or whatever it is. Similar to that, we may also government offices, so we may be not working seriously. But most of my scientists who have come and joined are all engineers with a passion they joined. Not because of the reasons like a security or for that matter pension or whatever it is. No. Our salaries are certainly much lower when compared to even a private who can get.
क्या बात कर रहे हो सही में?
100%.
You're making such big things for the country. You don't have handsome salaries.
No, when I was retiring, I was getting about 2.5 lakhs is my.
What are you saying, really?
That's the way it is. Yes.
Okay.
And we are still happy. We had more comfort in terms of what we are achieving. I have flown in the Tejas aircraft. I have gone into the nuclear submarine more than once. I have driven the tanks. Every possible vehicle, whatever we have made, I have done that. How many of us have got a chance to even see? So that way, if you look at it, it's a proud moment for us. A young engineer looking forward for a funding, right? When I said that Aakash array was done, and that in the initial period, even the test methodology is not existing, we are allowed to create. How many companies will do that? Okay, we have got infrastructures worth of crores and crores and crores of amount.
Right.
Who would have given that? Who would have got a exposure to all those things? So, in that way, if you look at it, tremendous amount of knowledge we have. Okay, whether we got in terms of money or not, that's a different part. We got in terms of happiness. We got in terms of satisfying feeling that I have achieved that certain things. But then, being in a defense, I cannot declare. Nuclear submarine Arihant, when it was inducted, I was not in the picture, nor no picture was shown. 3 of us were in the induction ceremony, because the government wanted to do in a hush-hush manner at that point of time. Arihat, the number 2, when it came, they slightly got courage. Yes, we can declare, and their policy changed. So it was in a much better way. So the question is, certain things when you have to do it in the underground, and I used to get a command from NSA's office that I'm not supposed to tell in the newspaper what is that missile we tested. You ask some question. We test almost every month, minimum 1 or 2. I don't go and declare. So consequently, what you assume, when I don't speak, you assume I do nothing. So naturally, the knowledge on the DRDO is not much. Some people talk only the negative. I said the Americans took 15 years for AWACS development. We also took the similar 15 years. Out of that first 3 years, we struggled in understanding. That means these are all the product which is not having specification, as a written form. Your imagination versus my imagination. Your imagination is sometimes allowed to float, so you keep expanding it. So making it into a concise, like a contractual, is not easy. Worst case, when I say that, look, you keep increasing, what's the problem? You want money? It can be given. But money you may be giving, salary you may be giving, but the name what I lose, I am a delay master, is not going off. So general public perception is we are delay masters.
See, that is there, but if you pass out from IIT, you expect a package of 4.5 to 5 lakhs. That is what the capability of the brain is. What is taking you to the defense where you're not getting money? Is it only the patriotism or just the contentment in the brain?
No, see, we are talking about IITians today. I don't get much IITians today, not necessarily, to the extent that what you imagine, the cream we don't get. We do get IIT graduates, but not necessarily the cream. But when you said that we all joined, why we joined, at that time this was one of the fantastic opportunity that one can think of in an R&D side. Whereas in a private, we never had such a challenges. I am 100% sure today, big companies like Adani, Baba Kalani, and Tatas, and L&T, they are all attracting very good engineers.
Right.
Even IITians, because they can give more money. Right? But DRDO, still some people will come who can think through the sense, can you have a potential equivalent to a setup like this? Today, if you ask me to go to NASA, I love to go because of the facility they have. Even seeing is a mind-boggling.
So we don't have facilities.
You go and see our facilities. We also have got. Last week I was in hypersonic tunnel. You see that itself will give you elated feeling. Okay, how many of you are having an exposure to that? So those of studying in that small niche area, aware of these things, will love to be with that. So those people are definitely come. Some of them are coming for projects and trainees and whatever, they come to know, okay, these are the facilities. Go and have a look at it, do some experiment, then you wedded to that particular organization sometime for your life. That happens even today. So it is a passion.
So how are you mentoring the new gen now? What is new gen for you?
New Gen X is the people who sometime ask for money. We tell them saying that these are all the provisions and whatever it is. The environment in which they are working, right? Sometimes they ask saying that work from home, because even the many companies do it. We again tell them, you and I are not like a Rabindranath Tagore. Sit as an individual, write a good poetic one and become the Nobel laureate. Whereas we may have to create a nuclear submarine. You may have to create a sort of Tejas aircraft, or you may have to create Brahmos missile. In all these things, you and I cannot do individually, it have to do a collective, a teamwork.
Right.
Team cannot be there in individual houses and do a lot of job. And that too, the work what you are doing is bit of secrecy is needed. So there is no way that we can be elsewhere. So those of them having this type of interest, we weed out, but try to explain to them the advantage of being together. Learning is not necessarily from the book. By talking to your peer, you learn. And by discussion, you understand. Sometimes an youngster teaches you something, not necessarily from the bookish, from the logical argument. So these are all the passionate way that we try to do. And we send them for many higher studies, going to back to the IITs, doing exercise or work even outside the country. These are all the attractions that we try to keep.
What will it take for India to become the true global defense tech exporter? Are we close to it? As you said, we have just started.
We are marching towards it. We are maybe 20-30% of that march. And I can tell you that we are soon will reach, not because of only from DRDO, but also mainly from the private companies. The business is huge. 30%, 40% profit is there. They jumped. It is an opportunity. But then the quantum of what they can produce cannot be completely consumed only by India. So they will find a way to go out.
Right.
And that's the only way it will expand.
How much India is spending on R&D?
I believe last year about 23,000 crores.
Okay.
That's order.
Which is good as compared to other countries, or is it okay?
Good when compared to our neighbors, but not necessarily as good as what we would love to have.
Our neighbors are making everything at home. That's what it seems like.
Right.
So, because R&D is the major thing. Like you said, Aakash took 30 years.
ATVP, our nuclear submarine, took more or less similar time. LCA took similar time. Not only in our country, many other countries.
Because time spent is on R&D.
Yes.
Then
Yes.
comes the final product which you keep making.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
In nuclear submarine, we say we can produce up to 99 or 95% completely indigenous component.
Okay.
So simultaneously, we may import one gyro, but simultaneously we start looking at it ourselves.
To export more, import less.
No, yes, export is the next part. Import less.
Import less. That's interesting. That's
And there always a debate between us, and we induct the services so deeply in our system because the moment you say I want this plate, you only say I need a plate, but you never told me the shape, color, nothing. But you also not aware of that. But in the due course you also learn, I also learn, like that when we are making, unless otherwise we are sitting each other opposite each other, we cannot do it.
right.
So that's why we have got more and more service officers are with us, and it gets evolved. But now in the bargain, time also getting lost. One is that you know a definite definition of your product and tell me and then ask me for a time. The other one is you give me a rough information, but tell me some time, tell me some money, but also you are willing to increase the money, increase the time, but also want to change the specification. I can never say no to that.
If you weren't in defense R&D, what's the completely different career you would have chosen?
Now I'm a professor. I find it's equally interesting
Okay.
because we are working on, of course, defense connected TR module chips in a single small chip form. When I was in services, I could not make that type of thing. Now I learnt a lot, and along with my students, we are making those dies and chips. I get a small project here and there, but that is giving me enough this thing. Another point what I find interesting is that unlike in those days when my professor and all is there, today the professors are allowed to do consultancy for anybody.
Okay.
Like so many startups are there, and they have got a very minuscule needs, and that we are able to satisfy more than enough. And they find happiness in what we have delivered, and we find much more happiness in that. And monetarily, we are also better off.
Was there any moment when you said, "मुझे नहीं करना, मैं छोड़ के जा रहा हूँ. I don't want to do it"?
Fortunately for me, it never happened.
Never happened. Okay.
Yes, there were some issues, like for instance, when I was assigned to C to F, I was few months senior, somebody junior to me overtook, I could not be given. It made, I never felt that I should leave, but I felt I should have been given. But the person who overtook me retired as a H, whereas I went one level up, and not only that, I went on to go and run the entire organization. So we don't know what is there in God's will. It happened.
Wow. What do you see the next critical frontier for India in defense tech in next decade?
You mean to say in the technology wise?
Technology wise and arsenal wise, everything combined.
As I told you that I keep saying that I'm not bringing in drone because drone is the weapon which everybody believes that is the easy way of attacking things. But it is not like ancient days of real war, bit of a fictitious way of doing it. Even if you take the recent Russian, whatever has happened, you mean to say without internal support, somebody can go so close to the airport and stop your truck and run the drones? See, we tell drone is the technology, but 90% is done by the internal situations. It is not the drone went all the way to there. But if you replace that, similar thing to create, hypersonic can do. Similar thing can be created from your place. No need for any friend inside. No need to influence somebody or find some spies. No, you can do that. So that is, I feel proud in the technology side rather than that spy. I'm a scientist, right? So for us, we should be able to strike anybody anywhere, either in space or elsewhere, sitting in my place. That is the technology is my trump card or whatever it is.
So what is the biggest challenges DRDO faces in translating the lab research into battlefield ready systems? Are there any challenges DRDO facing?
See, I strongly feel that we have got strength of scientists 7474 we say. We are treated like any other government organization. We are not allowed to expand. What I feel is people should be able to hire, like today you have Agniveers, right? They are short commissioned soldiers for you, right? Similar to that, if you have a big projects and where there is a need for a scientist, if you allow me to hire even at a higher cost, but not given a complete 30 years, 40 years of life and you rot there, that is not the point. As long as you are productive, we keep you and we will also pay you. That culture if we create, I'm sure we'll be much better than what we are.
Right.
If I become a conduit for giving money, like DARPA or DST of India, you won't respect because I know nothing. I only give a money handling.
So what is the difference between the work culture of DARPA and DRDO?
DARPA is identifying the good talent elsewhere.
Okay.
They not necessarily have to have a talent within themselves. Here we pretend that we are having the talent. We have been asked to have the talent and still give it to you something. If I give you something and take the output from you, I should be knowledgeable to question you. I cannot just put a rubber stamp. If I once and for all make it a DARPA model where I submit myself, I went to here, I went there, and this is good, that is bad, in a low level term, not in a technologically authoritative term to tell you. You cannot blame me tomorrow, the technology is not up to the mark, DRDO is bad. It is I am only a fund giver. I don't want to be like that. DARPA is only thing like that. NASA is not like that. So we don't have a NASA. We should create NASAs and DARPA also. Here we are merging the two.
Who are your role models?
One is Dr. Kalam. I worked with him also for some time. One thing he will say, I have not seen anybody died out of working hard. Because I am also a bit of a workaholic or push for something. Many people feel, no, we should not put more time or whatever it is effort. We all belong to the other school of thinking like him. He's a go-getter, he won't leave. Similar to that, I also push things and it has been productive so long. So for me, he's one of the role models.
Wow.
After I taken over as a secretary, I went and met him, sir, I am sitting in your chair. Oh, you are the new Malik of the empire. I said, no, sir, I am the caretaker of the empire you created. Then he laughed, which I told that during the time, that crash, he took a stand that I don't want to encourage anymore or blah, blah. So in the book also that place was there. So you underlined those portions and signed and gave. I know very well you are now running the AWACS. Good that you brought to this shape, all those things he said.
It's good. It was very fascinating that President is standing on 26 parade, during 26 January parade. Missiles go by, like, मैंने बनाया, ये भी मैंने बनाया. Agni, Prithvi, Aakash, Nag, Trishul, सब मैंने बनाया, मेरा है. What's the most surprising or humorous moment you have had during DRDO years?
Surprising is none other than our Parikar, or humorous moment. We all went to, I told that Baba Ramdev was willing to take a TOT. We had a function in Leh. Okay. And at the end of the day, we had a dinner, and the then army chief arranged in the Northern Command. So we were all in the dinner table. Menu card was there, plenty of menu 1 and 2, everything was there. So the practice is the guest sits in front of the chief host, none other than army chief. Obviously, I am sitting next to the chief guest by protocol or whatever it is, and the table is not more than 7-8 people. Parikar is all of a sudden looked at everything, picked up the dessert spoon.
Okay.
So we also don't know which spoon to take, because generally we are supposed to follow the guest out through in,
and
but
the
also
guest.
the guest has to be fair enough. Then they served the soup, something like that was standing, and as per the list it is supposed to go. He looked at it and said, chawal. So the guest is asking, the chief cannot say no, and chief cannot say go by the order. So the whole lineup was there. He said to the first fellow, chawal. He told the next fellow, chawal, 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 went all the way. Sometime all of them slowly vanished, and we are all like cats holding like this, and we're sitting there, sitting. After some time, that means that they were not in the menu. The chawal, white chawal was not there. They cooked in no time in a microwave, brought it and gave it to him, and we all have to take chawal directly and then close everything. He said, I mean, we don't know what to do, and after going, then I asked him, sir, we were waiting for many things to come, dessert to come. You took the dessert spoon. I took what I want. You could have taken what you want. That is a simple word.
You talk a lot about Parikar. What about the other defense ministers who came?
Yes, I worked with Jaitley Saab. There are many tough decisions we had to make. And one side Dhanava, other side myself. Dhanava was the air chief at the time. And some decision we went. AWACS buying itself, next lot.
Right.
I said they should give 80% because first 3 were proven. Why should I empty my fund? It coming around at that time 11,000 crores or something like that. 80% should come from him. Dhanava said no, 50-50. Okay. Then plus something else I was arguing. On the aircraft also some question I was raising. Then Jaitley was listening to End of it he says, Chief, we have to listen to Dr. Christopher in this aspect, which is in terms of funding, that because you are now going to use it. No longer, why do you want to keep on call it as an R&D? Then you will keep doing research. You are wanting like a product. Whereas on the operational, I wanted an aircraft small change. He said, Dr. Christopher, here we have to respect Chief. Both kept quiet and came off.
What is S-400?
S-400 is a air defense system. So incoming missiles for specific important places, we have to protect as it is keep coming. So you have got a screen at different ranges, and that means you have got a set of sensors like radars. It continuously surveillance it is doing, and then it monitors and checks presence of expected type of missile, if it is a very fast and slow or whatever it is. Accordingly, it chooses a set of missiles and then try to send them off and try to stop them at different places.
Okay.
So this is first set or whatever it is, we got it from Russia, that is S-400. We have got our own systems now.
Because during Operation Sindoor, we say that S-400 was the hero. So now let's talk about quantum tech. What actually is quantum tech and the direct energy tech? What is it?
Yeah, quantum tech is different and the direct energy is different. Of course, both are dealing with laser or light. The DW weapons, direct energy weapons, have got a large power generated out of laser, and if you can focus them, the concentration can probably pierce metal or create fire, so destroying possible. The least it can do is corrupt the chips or the ICs which carry out certain command and control. Thereby your behavior of the expected drone type of things is going to be entirely different.
Right.
So idea is that because it is laser and you are shooting from your place as though you are extending your sword and the tip is inflicting it. So you can keep using the sword again and again in many places.
Okay.
Speed at which it goes is light. So because of that, you can simultaneously handle or sequentially, of course, internally, very, very fast, many targets you can take care. So that is the Iron Dome or DEW, that type of weapons. Whereas the quantum is a counterpart of that. Same light, same thing is used for getting a information sort of a protected or exchanged in a faster fashion, right? They go one level up, saying that to the extent of what is happening in the brain wave can also be read and controlled. So that is the type of area is going in the quantum side.
So you said you can't transport one person to the other place, but you can transport information.
Knowledge, information.
Knowledge. Like if you join two heads, you can pass on the message like we do it on the phone.
That is precisely the point. It is not with the intent of passing it on alone, but sometime to change you, read your mind, also being thought of. But in a quick, it will be done in such a way that one may not even realize that is being happening.
Wow. Which weapon or system of India's defense ecosystem you find is underappreciated?
See
But it's a game changer.
But it's a game changer, is it? Weapon like LCA today, it is much more potential it has got than what many people may not even know.
Okay.
But if you start exploiting it in the forward area, then only you will be able to extract or give the feedback on it. Today, if you keep it as a protected entity, then you don't come to know of what it is potential or the deficiencies.
Right.
Which both are not, in my opinion, is good. You come back to us, these are all the deficiencies. We will rectify it. But use and tell. Just look off it, don't tell. That's the difference.
You have been part of so many things, so many inventions for India. How would you solve the traffic problem in Bangalore?
If there is a will, there is a way. Simple thing is that you can keep on say that have more layers of road, or may have an underground and submarine, underground subway and so many things. But the public transport, if people started using that, itself will come down. You go to London, in an inner circle, you have to pay huge tax for parking and other things. They are eliminating. You go to Sao Paulo, huge traffic jam, so they control it in some fashion. You go to New York, there is a traffic jam. You go to Russia, there is a traffic jam. So it is not unique to us. Only thing is we have to have a mindset. I'm sure it will be possible. Myself and Jaitley was traveling in Russia. Our car was stopped because of the traffic jam. Then I asked, sir, shall I go out and put a word that the minister is there, why not you do something? Pilot vehicle also standing there idle. Then he said, no. There is a Russians ask, who is the protocol wise you are supreme? Only for him will give that equivalent to Putin and nobody else.
Okay. Wow.
So that means I cannot get there, don't waste your energy, sleep.
Love, hate, tolerate about Bangalore.
I tolerate no doubt the traffic. Love is the people because they are so accommodative in the sense it's a cosmopolitan city. I find people talk in their own language without any problem. Nobody tells the other guy, oh no, change to this. They try to adapt themselves, try to learn, try to understand and answer. I have not seen it in Chennai nor in north somewhere. Wonderful city that there is no such hatred is there. So it's love.
What is your message to all the Indians and people across the world?
Your home is, anyway, it is a motherland and it is really, really forgiving on us for whatever the misdoing we are doing. And if you don't take care of your mother, who else will take care? Wherever you are, think of her and come back once in a while.
क्या बात है, क्या बात है. What's the most romantic thing you have done in your life?
When my mother-in-law sent a nice birthday card when I was doing my MTech, where arranged marriage, I thought it is my wife. I mean, the so-called my wife at that time. I was so happy and enormous. I was so enamored. Only to come to know later that is what she has never sent me anything. My mother-in-law happily cheated me.
That was a surprise romantic
Romantic
moment for you.
moment, yes. Really surprise and romantic. Or maybe after we got engaged for a month and half or 2 months or so. We got engaged in December and we got married in February. During that period, one telephone used to be there in IIT, that too below the director office, the dial phone. I'll somehow go there and this thing. My friends will come to, they know when this fellow is vanishing, he's going for some. They all will stand outside and they'll keep on telling you, tell this, tell this.
That was this stealth attack by your mother-in-law.
That I got fallen for that.
Last but not the least, who are the closest countries and who are the countries we are not bothered about? Or are we bothered about the entire world?
See, I'm certainly not an external affairs ministry
Okay.
person to give a correct comment. I will say from technical point of view, we have a lot of good relationship with Russia. We have got good memories of countries like US also in certain areas, but not necessarily it is all consistent. Everything changes time to time.
Everything changes time to time. Change is always there, and change is what we want, which should keep happening in defense system as well. Proud to be sitting here with none other than Dr. S. Christopher, talking about AWACS, talking about Aakash, talking about all the missile system, and of course the future ready India. Dr. S. Christopher on the Tuhin Show, Icon of Bengaluru, presented by the Style.World. Thank you so much, sir, for talking to us. It was lovely talking to you. And
Thank you, and the pleasure is mine.
what a pleasure to talk to you.